This video was made for viewers who have played the game, but even then the video may not make sense anyways because I don't know what I was doing when I was putting this video together. But with that being said, let's just get into the video.
Same idea. Oh, they're both dead. Alright, I have my buildings ready. I can fight them.
Me too. Then another. We're gonna be over one. Oh.
Let's go!
Let's go. Oh, wow.
Why did you
that?
just grab that poor little thing?
Nice. Hello. Oh my.
Thought you could take me?
It did fall off to the edge of the map.
Yeah, they did.
It was.
What the?
They were. Alright, here we go. Don't go in there!
I just wanted to be a god.
This is Supervive. It is a game made by ex-Riot and Blizzard developers. Supervive is a game you can't play anymore because it is made by ex-Riot and Blizzard developers. They call me Micah Munch, and this is my chronologically incorrect summary of my experience with Supervive.
Yeah!
Nicely done. Nicely done.
So you're probably wondering, Micah, this is Kingpin gameplay. I thought you were an Aluna main. Yes, I am an Aluna main, but before I was an Aluna main, I used to enjoy this game. I used to enjoy when the meta wasn't figured out and everyone was exploring the game and making unique kinds of plays with what the... Actually, I'll get back to you on that because we're currently on a hype montage and I just want to show cool and funny things like these clips.
Oracle is online.
I have 24 stacks of Feed the Beast.
Oh god.
Wait, the Minecraft mod?
Got water bottle and of life.
Okay, I'm calling dibs on water ball, please.
What the heck?
Oh, what? You see? Yo, what the
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Final
Oh, he didn't. He didn't just let that happen.
Yeah, you gotta survive for 2 minutes. Oh. Finish show.
I also realize I'm missing a lot of footage that I wish I recorded or at least kept, so unfortunately that's the end of my Kingpin arc.
Alright, cool.
Oh my god! Lol. Lol.
Last alive, one tightening.
And I died. Got him.
And I'm back.
What's the perk? Wait, what?
It's time for our special trick.
What? Dude, the Bebo hooked me into the nuke.
Did you know people like to unnecessarily pull out their glider during a jump they can easily make without it? When do you think this player is going to pull out his glider? Anyway, you guys were probably expecting actual Luna gameplay from me, but unfortunately the idea of air blasting people into the Chernobyl reactor is much more of a fun way for me to play. Since that's getting stale, let's mix it up a bit. This montage will involve air blasting even more innocent civilians into the Chernobyl reactor, air blasting more innocent civilians into a nuclear testing site, committing the first ever insurance fraud crime in the history of Supervive, locking people out of their homes during the January 2026 winter storm, sending pipe bombs to random people's mailboxes with same-day shipping, obstructing traffic on a railroad crossing so I can go viral on TikTok, speeding in a suburban neighborhood and committing vehicular manslaughter, and of course, my signature move, instant outplay.
Now! Dude, I could've Okay, team wipe.
Oh, look at this. Well, dead Luna. I got this. I got the. Wait, I got 2. Yo!
Abyssal hatchlings incoming.
Lol. Wait, Loki, yeah, we should have been.
Dash 2 is so satisfying.
Over and over again.
It's Micah!
Oh, I'm sorry, Micah.
Your oracle is online.
He's got 2 HP the heart.
Come back,
Yeah.
Micah.
Don't get baited, don't get baited, don't get baited.
Ah!
Bro, I told you! I've played these games before.
I got him!
Oh, nice!
The team always just falls apart as soon as I'm out of the fight. My mic wasn't being recorded here, so we won't be able to hear the nice things. Yikes! But then I proceeded to watch this player do the exact same thing to everyone else for the next 3 games and also win 2 of those. And thankfully, dunk abilities are only seen on melee characters, so at the very least, you can't get dunked from someone you can't even see on your screen. That is a real character.
Okay.
Ready when you are.
Okay, ready? Strong, pink team strong, 3 left.
Got bro! Here, let's go.
Think fast, Chuckle.
Where did that come from? Okay, so one thing to establish real quick. Every Knicks player needs to go into the woodshed. I don't know how to pace everything with the footage I want to show you, so I'm just gonna wing it and try to get at least everything that's on my mind about this game out before I forget or before the game becomes too irrelevant. So between the times after when I was a Kingpin player and before I became too addicted to clip farming, I enjoyed rezzing people. I enjoyed rezzing my teammates as many times as they needed, and I enjoyed denying my enemies the satisfaction of killing my bronze teammates. Here's one example. When the fight goes south, I don't even focus killing the enemy, I just pick up my wisp and get out of there.
I hate Mega Munch.
And it gets even better. When 1.0 came out, they made lots of changes, starting with the fact where I didn't ask for this update and the fact that they removed powers. No more two-way tunnel, no more rescue turtle, no more two-way teleporter, no more Team Frog jump. No more of any of the quirky powers that were either completely useless in most cases, or sometimes your only win condition in some games. This was also the beginning of the end for this game, and my honest review is that the game at its current state had less content than 1.0, which had less content than open beta. This is just my personal opinion, but I think the game was at its peak when nobody knew what was going on when 50 different powers, consumables, and abilities were being used in a single team fight. The game should have been more sandbox focused, and they should have instead kept adding dozens of different powers that do different kinds of cool things. But no, instead we got Mr. Offscreen Dunk. But it's not all bad. I didn't mind only because the game was surprisingly more generous to me than other players. After the devs made a horrible decision of turning a battle royale into a gacha game, I somehow managed to get literally everything I wanted, maxed out in less than 2 weeks after the update. Take a look at this example. Alright, I'm opening a 10-pack. I need to get 2 more Guardian Angels. Oh, I'm getting a Legendary, hope it's a perk. 1 Hover Wings. Oh, 1 more Guardian Angel. I got it. I got 2 more Guardian Angels in a row.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That's insane.
You know what's funnier is that, like, I was opening another 10-pack a while ago, and it just gave me another 2 Guardian Angels in a row, so... We are gaming. Yeah.
Right here, Micah.
No! Couldn't get out.
Bro, I dropped my wisp like Sonic rings. after sacrificing dozens of innocent souls to the anomaly. The developers of this game have less to do than an old tool I once had. That's right, instant outplay is back. We are so back, guys. Dude, this game is so goofy. We are so back. Oh, that's a triple. That's a team fighting. Boom. Oh my gosh! Whoops! Don't recall, don't recall, don't recall, don't recall! Oh my... Sorry for the sudden vibe shift, but we're about to reach the finale, so there's a few more things I need to explain before we get there. Here's exactly what's happening when I'm using my two-way teleporter with the heart anomaly to insta-kill players. There are 3 tiers to this trick. Tier 1. One end of the teleporter is in contact with the anomaly. The anomaly will move to the other end of the teleporter when I activate it. Simple. Tier 2. Both ends of the teleporter are on the anomaly. This causes a bug where an object is moved twice at the same time. Even though visually it looks like nothing happened, for an extremely short moment this causes the heart to be at another location and insta-kills anyone caught in the area where the heart would be. I even made a whole picture explaining the science behind how this all works. I watch this. Gotta get down snapped. Oh, he died. Oh, he died. Tier 3. Stand at the center here. Where I'm at. Yeah. Tier 3 involves 2 bugs to make this trick work. One involves dashing backwards to a wall to mantle and then activating hover wings to fly skyward. Then, I use my two-way teleporter in the air aiming at the anomaly. What happens now is that when I teleport, the anomaly would move as usual, except it doesn't change the altitude and keeps it at ground level. And I do all of this just so I can hide the indicator of where the heart is going so I can catch people off guard. And both tiers 2 and 3 have been banned from pro play. Oh my God, for a pretty good reason. You know, speaking of banned tech, let me introduce to you someone who also specializes in that sort of thing.
Hi, my name's Fredofo. I'm usually a pretty decent team player. I played a lot of League, I played a lot of Supervive. But with teammates like these, there was only one choice. A bottle and a pair of car keys. I chose to drive. With great car crashes come even greater tickets, and I would soon find that out.
3v1 versus Spy.
And already Sinner's Embrace was able to get the lock in, and then crash car out of nowhere! The drunk driving from DEI absolutely destroys Spy!
Dude, what did we just witness? The mega speed jujitsu bungee tong from Protofo. Absolutely
Back on!
Oh my God!
Wow, I'm surprised at why.
Whoa! What that? What was that, Protofo? What a play there from the Bebo with a bungee shot!
This crown? They are. Wait, no, they aren't.
Yo, what the fuck for you?
Oh my God!
This guy. I got super juke across the map. The Depot's hard split.
Last Carlo. Huh? Oh my goodness.
I hated that play. I hated it.
And like that, I was back to the drawing board, trying to find new tech to explore on Debo and figure out new ways to frustrate people. This is how Blink works.
Oh! Ghost Mellow 1 HP. Oh!
Yeah. Here, play this. Oh, I got two! Oh my god, I got that on stream!
Done. Try to run, try to ult to live. Oh. That is just so cursed. Like, there's nothing I can do to react to it.
Awesome. Trees everywhere. It's really awesome.
One character gets to have sandbox, everyone else gets to play boring game.
That's why the game's dead, baby!
You can't get hit from up there, can you? Oh my god.
This is Protofo saying, one last time, you're all a bunch of frinkos. I'm playing a tournament with this guy, by the way. It's so good. It's okay, I'll throw him into a nuke eventually.
That's right, the tournaments. I'm going to play the final tournaments as a character that was never part of the meta, but we can win if we play Our team consists of these three players. Micah Munch the Ice Agent, Protofo the White Van Driver, and Cage Glass the Glass. Our team name is Banned, not because we got banned, but because every cool tech we invented got banned. I got you!
Oh my gosh. Guys.
Oh, let's go! Let's go! Let's go! With the flashback from the spike grenade, the bungee as well, bunting around Dylan forever. Dylan's gone, and they've got all 3-10. They have lost Dylan, and now they're in a bad spot. The root is there. They're good. TN, RTK, the last one. Ban, they pulled the miracle off, and they win the final game.
The unkillable Micah Munch!
Wait, look! Oh.
They're anomaly.
Yeah. Into the heart! Yes!
I think you like.
Oh, I just killed myself. Oh my god. Wait, I'm in a perfect area!
Oh my god!
What?
I got a missile fight coming your way. Oh my gosh! Rooted.
Looking.
My game is at 2 frames.
It completely froze.
Res, hit a res.
Joel, 2 down with teleport.
Got two in the car.
Dead. Oh.
No.
No, you're good.
Oh my gosh.
Res, arm alive. GG. Oh.
What?
At the end of the day, to most people, Supervive was really just the friends we made along the way. But to me, it was all about the spotlight. All the practice and all the plays, every failure and accomplishment I've made has led to these glorious
Finally
moments.
have a squad drop, back locking in a couple kills as well. Or teleport from Micah Munch!
Scouting out for 10. TLD had already gotten the pick, and now they're using this Irish portal. The team! He can't keep getting away with it!
When meanwhile, PF looking for the finishing blow.
They got it with the TP! Micah! Oh my god, I missed you! I'm so glad you're here for one final time!
absolutely annihilating, I think, the entire squad there. Look, 3 death boxes under the heart. Another insane play from Micah when you least expect it, just completely deleting a squad with a...
I have
Yes, ma'am.
one
Let's
more.
go.
I have a request. Can I Thanos snap everyone after the photo?
Why not?
You would have to farm enough to get 2 ATPs.
You can get that.
Yeah. Look, we land at Heart. We get our entire team gets 2 camps at 3K for me.
True. Of course, this guy knows the threshold. Yeah, he would know the threshold. Yeah, Mike Munch would know it.
As long as you can do it in an expedient manner, that's fine. Listen up, everybody. Numbers is our director, okay? He is gonna tell us where to stand. Everybody
Wait, W or
follow me
Heart?
down
W
here.
or Heart? W or Heart?
Let's make an L.
We can do it
Let's
like
make an
in front
L,
of the
dude.
river, right here. Right over here.
No, dude. Don't break my heart. Don't break my heart.
L-woo.
Ziggurat is the tip of the middle of the W. Form around me.
Yo, we gotta start
Start to build. Start to get there.
Yo, guys.
Dude,
You moved to center. No lightning strikes.
these people are so uncivilized.
What are we doing? What
What
are
are
we
you
doing?
guys doing?
We get
Zik
5
is the middle, the middle.
We get 5 people to act as the point.
Okay, we need to.
I'm gonna kill everyone here with a nade.
Okay, wait, hold on.
You gotta wait for daytime, though.
Okay, wait. Can everyone back up? Everyone leave. Everyone leave this area.
We're leaving.
It's a test of who's not listening.
You put it
Oh, yeah, that's kind of impossible. Oh, Jet. Okay.
No!
Oh my god.
Micah, do you have your TP, by the way?
I do. You want me to use it?
Never had a...
No, not yet. I'm just asking. I'm just asking if
Because
you have
I
it set
can
up.
do it from the air if I want.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just want to know if you had it.
Close.
Okay. Now we wait for day, right?
I'm gonna get the teleporter set up.
Come a little bit closer.
Guys, don't move, bro. Don't move.
It's a nice tip. Here we go.
I gotta put a tip on that thing.
Wait,
I gotta put a tip on that thing.
Queen. What is this?
All right.
Okay.
Mike.
Micah, did you put your TP?
It's set up. It's set up.
Okay, you can wait. You can wait a bit. We can wait a bit. Okay.
Hearts.
Okay, let us know when it's like good, and then Micah can just TP and kill us all.
We killing? Are we killing?
Yeah, Micah, just do it.
Alright, go ahead.
Rest me on that nose.
Hey, how do you last?
That's so peak.
GG's, everyone.
And that is all.
GG's, my friends.
Miss you guys. See ya.
Absolutely love you guys. Peace.
Hi, this is Predofo. I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, I loved this community and everyone in it. I know I was kind of a black sheep. I know I made a lot of people frustrated, but you need to understand I was having fun, and most others were too. For my entire extended family I made through the game, for everyone who called me enemy, for every streamer that got pissed, for every drama that happened, I just wanted to let you know that I mean no ill will in my soul for you. You were all amazing. And to everyone that talked to me, that enjoyed me, that had me around, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm gonna put up a lot of the names that I remember from the Supervive community and that are still my close friends after. One last W, Supervive.
Every Nyx main needs to be eradicated.